Okay, what would make me call someone a hypocrite or a blind guide or a child of hell? That's a powerful question and one that deserves a very clear answer. And it's one that the Belonging Next Gen asked me around the table last Sunday. So let's answer this question on a short. All right. So those are strong words, right? Hypocrite, blind guide, child of hell. And, I don't tend to use language like that, definitely not lightly. And when Jesus said those things in the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 23, he wasn't just talking to people who were searching for God. He was actually talking to religious leaders who were doing three specific things. All right. One, they were pretending on the outside, but refusing to change on the inside. That's what I'd call a hypocrite. Okay. And remember, a hypocrite isn't somebody who makes a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. That's all of us, right? A hypocrite is someone who is acting spiritual in order to be seen and actually has no desire to be transformed. Now, two, the Pharisees were leading others away from God while claiming to represent him. And that is what I would call a blind guide. Somebody who's claiming to follow God, but actually leading people away from God. Someone who teaches or influences others to connect to God, but is actually disconnected from God. And even worse, pulls people away from God. Right. And then three, Jesus talked about the Pharisees turning people into children of hell. Right. They were using religion to shame or shut people out. He was confronting people who were turning others away from God through things like legalism, pride, and judgment, and making it harder, not easier for people to encounter grace. So if somebody's making it harder to come to God, I would say some of those words too. And I wouldn't use those words unless somebody was consistently and unrepentantly and intentionally doing these things, especially if they were hurting people and they were pushing people away from God, pushing people away from Jesus in claiming to talk for Jesus. But we have to hold attention very carefully because Jesus, he's the only one who can see everybody's heart as it is, right? And he reserved that language for certain situations. Most of the time, he led with compassion and he led with correction and he led with invitation. So for me as a pastor, my goal is not to just put a label on everybody, but it's actually to help restore people. And I'm much more interested in helping people take a step toward Jesus than calling them out on labeling them. So here's a question for you. Okay. Instead of asking who's a hypocrite, the better question is, am I becoming more real, more humble, and more like Jesus? That's the kind of life we're after, friends. Okay. So good question. Keep them coming. I can't wait to hear your next one from around the table, and I'll see you Sunday. Bye.